Last night was good.
I had fun.
You did? Good.
I did.
I don't know if it's just like since us becoming friends, now when I'm in a space, I'm like,
You think about the sound environment?
well, I'm like, I know that Kara can't hear me right now. And then I have started to be like, and I hate this. And second, now that I'm thinking about the sound environment, I'm also realizing that I have negative feelings about the sound environment.
Mm-hmm.
But
Were you playing music?
Like soft Christmas jazz, very low in the background.
Okay.
I feel like I used to have parties and they didn't echo like the way they do now. I don't know if I've just gotten louder friends.
Maybe. Do you have less soft things to absorb? I would argue you have more soft
If
things.
anything, I've added some stuff. Well, no one wanted to come in here.
That's true.
Pal was making fun of me because he was like, I just was watching you constantly pull people into your sensory
I know you
cave
were really trying to
and be like, come in.
lure people in here.
It's because my ears hurt. Also, people love to congregate. For reference listeners, my whole apartment is very decorated, especially right now, and usually very mood lit.
It's a fun apartment.
And people love to congregate in my brightly lit, not festive at all kitchen.
That's true. They love the kitchen.
They love the kitchen. And it's probably the least functional, like, fun space to be in my apartment.
It's near the drinks. Could that be why? And also, maybe it's easier to see people's faces when you're speaking. Maybe everyone's hard of hearing.
Maybe. But I also have a lot of friends that are autistic and don't like the big light. So, like,
you gotta do a poll of all your party goers and see where they like to congregate and why.
Yeah. I basically also, after you left, started, like, going up to people and being like, you can sit. Because no one was sat. I was like, someone has to sit down.
Okay.
And everyone was like, but no one else is sitting. I'm like, okay, one group has to.
And then others will follow.
Yeah.
That's why I was the first to eat s'mores.
Yes. I said, who's going to be brave enough?
That was my job.
To do this. And it's because a Trader Joe's person who was checking us out, I was asking him about the graham crackers I was getting. And I was like, we're doing s'mores at this party. I'm a little worried about it. I feel like people aren't actually going to eat the s'mores. He was basically like, well, you have to make sure that someone leads by example because everyone will be scared.
And that was me. Yeah. I stepped up.
How was Ireland?
It was really fun. I had a lovely time. We stayed with some friends in Dunleary, which is a town in Dublin. We called it like the Forest Hills of Dublin. We only spent one day in Dublin, so I didn't get to really see a lot of it, but it's a very pretty city. Erin and I did a little road trip to Cork, Killarney, and Galway. That was really fun. We did not get a chance to go to Death Village because it was the holiday season, and I should have thought of that. But next time we go, I will definitely go to Death Village.
Yeah, you think you're going to go back?
Oh, for sure. Highly recommend going to Ireland, guys. It's really fun. I also think they had a high respect for sign language because they have such a high respect for indigenous languages because they are a colonized country rather than a colonizing country.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pride over the Irish language, and I think there is a lot of respect for sign languages as well. I noticed a lot of commercials had Irish Sign Language, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like no one seemed fazed when I had my deaf time at a coffee shop. They're like, sure. Yeah. Highly recommend going to Ireland.
The whole country is like that meme that's like when you're cool with everybody.
Yes.
Like Ireland is like.
Everyone is delightful.
Everyone except, they're like, we love everyone except fuck you, England.
No, literally. Should we get to the show?
We should get to the show.
Cool. Okay, it's season 1.5, really.
Yeah, I feel like I'm like, oh, they got a budget.
They got a budget now, because they got all those extras for East West Bus. Yeah. But this is season 1, episode 11. It came out January 3rd, 2012. So they had their little fall break, and then this year in the winter.
Just like we had our little winter break. Welcome back, guys.
Yay, welcome back. Thanks for listening. And it's titled Starry Night.
Wow, I wonder what painting.
Wonder what painting that could be.
Wow.
And I think that's only because it's that one scene where Emmett and Bay look up at the sky at night with stars.
Classic.
I don't think the writers are really thinking that hard. I think they just think of one still from from the episode. And they're like, yep, that's the painting.
They said, time to do our big one.
Yeah, so we start off with Bay and Emmett, and they're FaceTiming on her iPhone 3G. And I guess because the way she's in the frame, Emmett cannot see her face or her hands at the same time.
Yeah.
So he's not understanding what she's saying.
Which is funny because then Daphne swoops in,
yanks the phone from her hand,
and basically does the same thing, just framed better.
But basically what Bay was trying to tell him is that Angelo is moving to Kansas City, and that was it. And then there's a family meeting about Angelo, and John lays out 3 rules. 1 is that Angelo cannot come to the house. 2,
which feels good for protective for Daphne.
Yeah, I think that's fair. 2, he can't be with Bay and Daphne alone. And 3, all calls need to be monitored. I think the last one's a little crazy.
Yeah, I think he's being a little intense.
Yeah. And Daphne's like, I'm fine with these rules. And Bay's like, you are preventing me from any chance of getting to know him.
Yeah, and I really feel for Bay. I feel like everyone's ganging up on her.
I know.
Literally, someone says, there aren't sides here. And someone else goes, yes, there are.
They say it, Bay and Daphne at the same time say, yes, there are sides.
Yeah. And like, again, Bay doesn't have any like...
We're going to say poor Bay for the entirety of the show.
For the rest of the show. But just especially in this meeting, it is so fucked. And she says later in the episode, like, Daphne gets access to my dad whenever she wants. And I have to schedule time.
And go through all these
hoops. And everyone is expressing their negative feelings about it at me all the time. It really isn't fair.
It's not. It really sucks. At this point, also, Daphne goes like, can't you guys do something about the fact that he's moved to Kansas City? Like, she wants him deported. She was like, he can't be in the city. I'm like, you can't control that.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, her and Angelo should just like sit down and hash it out. But
it doesn't seem like Daphne is agreeable to anything right now.
No. And I understand why. I think she needs to like dump all of her anger on him. But also I think she needs to yell at her mom.
I know. She should have yelled at Regina more this episode. But Bay is like, I'm sorry, girl, but Angelo and we're going to a jazz club tonight, which I guess is for all ages.
When we got there, I was like, this does not seem like it's for all ages.
No, and we're going to get to that. I have thoughts on it.
And then East West Fest, they've got money now. There's so many extras.
We have a new location.
Yeah, new location unlocked. And then it's revealed that obviously they're not opening for the Cold War kids at the festival. I can't believe Toby believed that. He's so dumb.
And Wilkie's like, I can't believe you would think that either.
So they're playing on the D stage.
The stage D.
Way out. And I guess they're playing
the same time as Arcade Fire.
Yeah, this really dated the show.
I'll be honest, I would go now. I like Arcade Fire.
I had so many questions about this fictional music festival. Like, is it free? Is it just camping? Like later we see just people camping like wherever at the festival, which is just like not how festival camping works.
I have never been to a music festival, so I'm kind of clueless.
So I have, and it's a lot of bureaucracy. It's a lot of like wristbands and different sections for different people and like
you don't sleep at a music festival
to get in. You can camp at a music festival.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, but it costs so much money and usually you have to reserve your spot months in advance. Obviously this is like a small regional music festival, but then the headliners are like kind of huge bands.
Yeah, Cold War Kids and Arcade Fire are quite a big get, especially for that time.
Yeah, so it doesn't feel very realistic. Points off for the fact that I was like, where are they? Later there's a lake that Daphne's like putting her feet in and there's no one around swimming in it.
Everyone would be getting high on Molly and jumping in that lake.
Yeah, it's just not realistic. But that's okay. This is a TV show. And then Catherine, back at the house, she rents a horror movie for her and Daphne to watch.
She says it came out in closed captions and would we watch it together? And to me, that's love.
That was really sweet.
If someone recommended that, want to watch a movie that they don't necessarily enjoy, but they know it's accessible and fun for me, that's love.
Catherine also makes a reference. She says, I haven't seen a horror movie since Amityville Horror. And the way she said it made me think that it was like a reference.
I think she's saying it came out a very long time ago and I'm old.
But also, is she in it? Is she in it or is she like in a sequel?
I actually don't know. Google it.
Yeah, she's in Amityville 2.
That went over my head.
Just the way she said it, she was like almost winking at the camera. She plays a babysitter in Amityville 2.
When did that come out?
1984.
That makes sense. Babysitter. She would have been pretty young.
Yeah. Because my first guess was like, do they go see that movie in Back to the Future?
I
But
haven't seen Back to the Future since I was like 12.
yeah, me either. Even earlier than that. I'd like to watch it again though. It's really good. I love Leah Thompson. Bae and Regina are also having mother-daughter time.
For once, she's painting her nails, and Bae just basically asked Regina to talk to John and see if he can back off about her meeting with Angela.
When did John forgive Regina? Like, it hasn't been that many episodes since they found out that she knew.
No.
And I think that Angelo showing up has just overshadowed the fact that they're also pissed at Regina still.
Yeah.
Because, like, Regina should not. She shows up and she's like, I have a coupon for the car wash, but I think it's expired. And he's like, well, we can fix that. Kind of a weird scene. And
Yeah,
then
that was
she's like, let's
odd.
have a heart-to-heart. And he seems so cordial and nice to her. Weren't you like, I'm going to get custody of my children and have her not in my house anymore, like 3 episodes ago?
Full 180. But instead, he's like, okay, so I won't go see Angela. How about you chaperone instead?
Yeah, which like he trusts Regina to do all of a sudden.
They all seem to be on the same side of being sort of anti-Angelo.
Except Regina is not anti-Angelo.
But they don't really know that. Oh yeah, the lawyer shows up at the Kennish house.
Yes.
Because they have a plan next week to meet the nurse who Angelo found that worked a double shift. But the lawyer is telling Catherine, like, something smells fishy. I'm worried that Angelo promised her a cut of the money from the case.
Yeah.
And maybe that she's going to lie. And that will put us all in trouble.
Yeah, but she comes to the house and just privately talks to Catherine. She's like, I just wanted to make sure that you know that you have a voice too. And Catherine's like, yeah, like I'm an equal part of this lawsuit.
And this comes up later.
And it comes up later. But later on, she says to John, you railroad me sometimes. Is that a term you've heard before?
Yes.
Okay, because I thought
like steamroll.
It's like steamroll. So
I think
like,
it's the same thing.
I understand it has the same meaning, but I guess I'd never heard that before. And
yeah, I guess railroad is just the tracks.
Yeah, it's thrown around a lot in this episode in a way that I'm like, I don't think that word means what you think.
Yeah, I think steamroll would be better because railroad, you're just talking about the tracks rather than like the train itself going over you.
To me, it almost feels sexual. Like you railroad.
You railed them.
It makes me think of railed, yeah.
Sure, you railroaded.
So I was just like, yeah, I was getting distracted.
Oh, and there's also...
Yeah.
That's true.
A lot of words.
If you railroad someone, you're giving a to the train conductor. That's my definition now.
Perfect. I love that. We should popularize that.
Thank you.
Bring back trains. Okay, so then, yeah, Regina is like, okay, I guess I'm going on this daddy-daughter date with Bae and Angelo. And she comes home to tell Daphne.
Yeah, and Daphne is once again the backbone of the household.
Yeah,
making dinner for the family. She's making eggplant parm.
Yeah, she's making dinner and she's like, do you want a salad too?
Like she's the housewife.
I know she likes to cook, but
it's every meal. It's a home-cooked meal every day, it seems.
Yeah.
I've never seen them eat leftovers.
No.
Didn't she have a life? Regina, for the love of God.
Just like get in there and put some Stouffer's together or something. I don't know.
You can do it.
And she's like, I'm actually not coming to dinner. I'm going on a date with my ex-husband who I've raised you to hate. But Regina's like, I think I painted too harsh a picture of him and now you hate him too much. Girl. Like, she's not even that apologetic about it. She's just like, oops, I think you have the wrong idea.
Yeah, he was actually nice.
She's like, I actually lied. I actually misrepresented it so it'd be easier for you. It's so fucked.
It is. Daphne has no idea what's true and what's not.
No.
And
Regina's a liar.
She cannot fathom the idea of Angelo being in anyone's life because that's the way Regina talked about him, or the lack thereof. Or maybe Regina never talked about him, so how could she have any positive idea of him?
Yeah.
And Regina's like, well, there were good times, and Daphne's like, well, I'd never heard of it.
Yeah,
why would I know?
I've never heard of those times. I have so much sympathy for her.
Well, Daphne angrily storms off into her room and she tries to phone Emmett, but I guess there's no service at East West.
I don't know, but the screen being like,
he's
a
offline.
Headshot of him and it was like, Emmett Bledsoe unavailable.
And yeah, he was throwing up a peace sign.
Love.
It was funny. But we're back at East West and the boys are trying to promote their gig.
Yeah, they're fucking lying to everyone.
Fucking lying about what genre of music they are. Loki says at one point they're ska.
Yeah, he sees a punk guy. He's like, we're heavy metal.
Yeah. And we meet Simone Sinclair, new character just dropped.
And we know it's her because she walks up and Wilkie has to say, Simone Sinclair to let us know. Who was this actress?
She is played by Maya Walsh, and she was Mina in Cory in the House.
Yes.
And she was also in Desperate Housewives.
Yes, she was.
She was.
I love her, but I feel like she always plays kind of an evil character.
She's really good at playing an evil character. She has a great bitch face, respectfully. And we can tell right away that the vibes with her and Toby are really strange.
Yeah.
Toby's like, hi, Simone. And they're making weird eyes.
She's also very intrigued by Emmett.
Yeah, who's the step boy?
Even more intrigued when she finds out that he's Bae's boyfriend.
Yes.
Which, like, back off, girl.
And we, the audience, finds out that she is Bae's ex-best friend.
Yes, Toby alludes to a friend breakup situation, not very tactfully.
After the introduction, she's like, I gotta run. I'm seeing Helen Mirren's Cleavage play.
Great band name.
Great band name, which is not real. I Googled it. I Googled Helen Mirren's Cleavage, and I just got pictures of her boobs.
That's not a terrible result.
No, it wasn't. We're back at the Kennish house, and Bae is getting ready for her daddy-daughter date, and she's wearing a tight, studded black mini dress.
Yeah.
With a leather belt.
Yeah.
And then John...
And, like, leggings underneath.
And leggings underneath. And John's like, change your clothes.
She has this moment with Catherine before John comes in and says that, where Catherine has that mom instinct for, like, saying the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Like I think Catherine was about to say something, and then she was like, you look nice.
Well, she definitely was, but then she goes, like, out of the blue, they're standing there, she goes, you aren't going to call him dad, are you? And that's just so, like, a thought that would pop into a mom's head. And they'd be like, this is a perfectly normal thing to say out loud. Don't put that on her.
No.
That's an inside thought. And then it's also an inside thought, John, to come out and be like, you look too sexy to go on a date with your dad.
Stop sexualizing your 16-year-old daughter.
Yeah. I always thought it was weird when parents said that. I'm like, why are you even putting them in that context? Like, it's your brain doing that.
I also think it's a safety thing.
But, like, she's going with Regina.
That's true. She's going with her mom, and that's a different situation. If she was, I don't know, maybe going alone to a party, I don't know.
She's a teenager. Let her express herself.
Yeah.
Just let her show off her boobs at the jazz club if she wants. She wants to look grown up.
She wants to look grown up because she's going to a very adult venue with her dad instead of like a cafe on a Sunday morning.
Yeah. I know, they should be getting breakfast. They should not
They should be going to a diner and getting pancakes.
Also, to go and listen to jazz, don't you want to talk?
And then Regina shows up in a very nice blue dress.
She's going on a date with her man.
She's going on a date and her daughter is going to be there. It's so weird. We're back at the festival.
They're complaining about the beer being $7. That was so painful to me.
I wish beer was $7.
I know. And then they're like, you know what we should do? Change our band name to Free Booze.
Toby says it jokingly, but then Emmett and Wilkie are like, that is genius.
They're so dumb.
They're so dumb. So they start writing on the back of the flyers, quote unquote, free booze playing today, stage D, whatever time.
Like, obviously that's not going to go well.
Now we're at the jazz club. This is a date spot. It's mood lighting. It's a nice little lamp in the corner. People are drinking wine. There's jazz piano playing.
And then we find out that this is a spot that Angela took Regina.
I think that's weird to bring your daughter.
They're kind of reminiscing about it. And she would come when she was pregnant with Bae. And Bae seems interested in the fact that they're talking about, like, oh yeah, we used to come here when...
Yeah, because no one's giving her a grain of information.
Yeah,
about
so
her
she
past.
thinks that's cool. So I think that it was the right call in that sense, if that was his motivation.
I just think maybe later in the relationship, once you gathered more of an understanding of each other.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not doing it well.
Despite having aunts and uncles, we know nothing.
And we still know nothing because Angela and Regina start fighting almost immediately.
Yeah, he orders a wine and then he offers Regina wine and she goes, no, I'm sober. And she's like, how could you forget that? Which I agree with her. I think I would remember that.
But I think as the adult in this situation, you can keep that thought to yourself because it's not about you. She says at this beginning of this night is for you guys. Like, act like I'm not here.
The two of them start bickering in front of Bae.
Yeah, and then she's like, how could you forget that? I don't know, Regina, shut up.
And poor Bae's just sitting there.
Yeah.
It's upsetting. Catherine is at home. She's making caramel popcorn. She's getting ready to watch the whole movie.
Cooking up a storm in there.
There was so much popcorn. It is the biggest bowl of popcorn I've ever seen.
And she's rocking a squirrel apron. I don't know if it's the same one.
It's the same one.
I finally
It
saw
says
it.
squirrely.
It's really cute.
It's so cute. That's her look. And Daphne says, sorry, girl. Rain check. I'm going to East West Fest.
I had a question about how you interpreted this. Obviously, she's going through a lot. Do you think this is purely innocent and she's like, I really need my friend right now and I need to not be in this house, so I'm going to go? Or do you think she's like, while Bae is out at dinner with Angelo, as revenge, I'm going to fucking drive out there and try to fuck her boyfriend?
I think two things can be true. I don't think she wanted to fuck Emmett, but I think she was
No.
like, I want to get out of here and get some space, and I need to confide in my friend who I miss very much. And I'm going to take advantage of this time because Bae is hanging out with Angelo. And also, if something does happen with Emmett, great. And she also doesn't help herself because she does what she does later.
So yeah, she's like, I'm going to take off. She's being like innocent and sweet too.
Catherine's really hurt, but she's like, okay. But it's okay because she ends up watching the horror movie with John.
And they're being so cute. Also, do you remember 3D TVs? Because they're wearing their little 3D glasses to watch
That was
movie.
a 3D TV?
Yeah.
Or was the
movie's 3D.
Okay, but the TV was not 3D.
But yeah.
But I do remember they used to have
you
them.
couldn't watch 3D movies like
Yes.
without a 3D TV. Like it had to be 3D capable.
Yes, I think I remember that. My parents never really bought like 3D DVDs.
So my brother bought a like special 3D capability TV when Avatar first came out in 3D on Blu-ray.
Okay.
And I remember he was like, put the glasses on. Like, we're going to watch this.
Was it like the cardboard red and blue ones?
I think he actually got like nicer ones. We'd already seen it in theaters. I was like,
it used to make me so dizzy. I remember seeing Spy Kids 2
Yes.
specifically in theaters in 3D.
yes.
And getting so dizzy.
But they're being cute watching it. But then they pause it because they're not really into horror movies. And then Catherine has a moment of being like, I hate Regina still. Like, I can't believe we're entangled with all her bad choices.
I know.
And then John's like, well, at least we're seeing that nurse from the lawsuit.
And Catherine is still very wary about it, but John is like jubilant about
Yeah. He is.
the money.
He's railroading her.
He's railroading, yeah.
In a sense, he's railroading her.
In a sense. Yes, exactly.
And he's like, let's just go read, and turns off the TV without checking in on her and like gets up and leaves.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, okay.
Okay, bye, John.
I've been railroaded.
What Catherine? She just wanted a little mommy daughter night.
I know. She was trying.
It's okay. Daphne gets to East West Fest.
Oh.
I don't know how far this festival is,
It's very unclear.
but she leaves at night and she gets there at night.
Yeah. I was cringing out so bad.
Well, first of all, she somehow manages to find
In a
Emmett's
sea
tent
of tents,
and
yeah.
the sea of tents. All the tents look exactly the same.
Well, but his has a little Gallaudet University patch on it.
Great catch. I did not see that.
That and then like a sticker for Guitar Face, and then she looks inside and she unzips this tent and crawls right in.
Snuggles up to him,
Yeah, she is snuggled up to him, inches from his face.
grinning ear to ear. She doesn't wake up.
He doesn't
I
wake
guess.
up. That was my question for you, is like, are you a really heavy sleeper with your
No.
implants off? Because there's a lot of jostling. Like, I think
No,
he would
I
wake
would
up.
say I'm a light sleeper because when I can feel the vibrations of someone walking into the room. I think when A and I first dated and they came in the room in the middle of the night, coming from work, I would wake up, but then I got used to it because my body was like, that is your wife. It's
Yeah.
okay. You're safe. But I think if you're sleeping in a tent outside with like 1,000 other people, I
Yeah.
think your body would be maybe on higher alert if someone walked into your tent.
I guess Emmett's a man. So like
Oh, no.
maybe he doesn't
Maybe
have
he got a lot of
instincts.
$7 beers.
maybe
But they don't explain that. He's a heavy sleeper, but that's, yeah, whatever.
it's really creepy to me. What was her plan? Because she says to Catherine, like, I'll just tuck into Toby or Emmett's tents. It's now inappropriate for her to do this with Emmett, I feel.
Mhm.
Especially the way she does it. I think if she had been like, I'm just crashing in your tent, and she's like on the other end of
Like
the tent,
pushed herself to the other
face
side of the
away
tent.
from him,
Whatever.
just in there to sleep. Fine, whatever. They're friends. I'm not gonna sexualize that. That's fine. That's like friendship intimacy.
Yeah.
But I do feel that her and Toby are not close enough for her to do that with him. Yeah.
Me neither.
So like what? She like didn't really leave herself a non-creepy option.
She should just buy a tent at REI.
I'm sure the
And-
Kenishes have many tents.
I'm sure they have a tent. And a very nice one at that.
Anyway, back at the house, Regina's like, gives Bae the most half-hearted apology for what happens with Angelo. She's just like, do you know those people that just like really push your buttons? That's what he is to me. So yeah, sorry.
And then Bay goes, maybe next time Catherine will be my chaperone.
Yeah.
And not you.
Yeah. And then Regina's also like, why didn't you tell me that you were dating Emmett? Because she finds out at dinner that
And Bay rightfully is like, girl, we never talk.
I'm so glad she goes, it's not like you and I tell each other everything. Regina deserved that. And then she comes inside and she looks dejected. So then John is like, are you okay? And she's like, this is such a typical teenage thing. I would have done this too. But she gets defensive and is like, yeah, I'm okay. Like, he didn't,
you thought it was going to be suck, but I'm fine. So
he didn't kidnap me. And then John is like, he's like, Angela wants to take you somewhere else tomorrow. And Bay's like, seems like she doesn't want to go. And so then John is like,
he was like, I can't go. Or if you don't want me there, Adriana can go. Catherine can't go. I think was just hearing all the planning. She was like, no, I'm just going to go to East West West End.
Yeah, but first John is like, well, if you don't want to go to the Kemper with him, do you want to spend the day with me?
I thought he was kidding.
I think he was being earnest.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
I think he was in his like clunky dad way of not reading the room, being like, oh, okay, you don't want to hang out with him? Do you want to do something with me? Like, I think he was being really serious. Aww. It was really sweet.
Now that makes me feel bad for him.
He's feeling insecure and he wants to spend some time with Bay.
And Bay does not want to. She says, no, I'm going to East West West.
And he's like, oh, Daphne's already there. She beat you.
And Bay goes, oh, she's there? Oh, really?
She's there?
I didn't know that.
And then in the morning, Emmett wakes up. This is like the opening of a horror movie.
I would scream.
Why is she laying there awake, eyes open, grinning so
staring
loud,
at
like
him?
Cheshire Cat.
Staring at him.
I hated it.
He should have screamed his head off.
And he, is naturally like, what the fuck? What are you doing here? And also, this is weird. And she's like, what? Don't make this weird. Girl, you made it weird.
You made it weird.
Your vibes made it weird.
And he's like, what the fuck are you doing here? Get out of the tent.
Yeah.
She gets out, and then Toby sees them get out of the tent. And I think he rightfully assumes what we would all assume.
Yeah, the visuals aren't great.
The visuals don't look good. And she's like, nothing happened. He goes, it's 7 a.m.
Why are they all waking up so early?
I don't know.
At this music festival?
Maybe they have a really early slot.
Maybe.
like a 10 a.m. slot for the band.
Okay, yeah. That would make sense. And then Toby confronts Daphne about it because Daphne storms off. And he's like, well, you can see why I would think that. And she's like, obviously, I'm not the kind of girl who would do that. I don't know, Daphne, you kind of give the vibe that you are.
Yeah.
Sometimes. He probably doesn't know that, but I see it.
And then Toby goes, okay, I'm sorry. I just get defensive of my little sister, Bay.
Yeah, because she's my little sister.
Which I think is sweet, but then Daphne does not take that well.
What the fuck? Me too. And it's like, yeah, that's not the same.
They grew up together.
Yeah.
It's different.
It's different. Again, when I was thinking of like, it would have been so weird for Daphne to crawl into Toby's tent.
What Daphne would have done with Toby, though, is wake him up and be like, hey, can I sleep on the far end of this tent?
Yeah.
Like she should have
Honestly,
done with
the person it would have made the most sense to get into their tent is Wilkie. Like, she should have just gone and slept.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know? That's who I would have picked. Sorry.
Yeah, great.
Basically, she should have brought her own tent. Or been like, okay, I'm finally gonna sleep with Wilkie. And then Bay shows up at the festival and she sneaks up on Emmett.
Bay comes and says, surprise.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you about that. Bay sneaks up behind Emmett and covers his eyes.
Not my thing.
Yeah, I feel like that's not good to do to a deaf person, right?
It's not my favorite.
I won't try it.
I don't like being snuck up on when I can't hear. It scares the shit out of me.
Especially like they're at a music festival.
With 1,000 people.
Thousands of people, lots going on.
That could be anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it. No, not a fan. If I'm brushing my teeth and now have my implants in and A is behind me, I will scream. And it happens about once or twice a week. I go, oh, Jesus. And then, yeah, it's not my favorite.
I wouldn't like it. But he's happy to see her. And
she quickly takes her place on Emmett's arm in front of Daphne.
Things are so tense. Like, this scene was, I was like, this is so uncomfortable. You guys gotta figure this out.
Yeah. The day passes a little, and she's telling Emma about the family reunion at the jazz club. They're ordering food, and Emma does what I like to do, is type in my order on the notes app, and then show the order to people working at the restaurant. And he orders tamales, I think.
Yeah. And $4. I know.
I miss 2012.
Yeah. Dreamy.
Some parts. Usually when I type an order on my phone, they figure out right away that either I can't speak English or I am deaf. They usually start gesturing and trying to engage with me in a different way. But this guy at the food stand is not getting this.
No.
He's like, what kind of salsa you want? Come on, I don't have all day. Come on. He's a dummy. And Emmett is about to choose because the guy at the food stand holds up red or green.
Yeah, it's
Emmett
there.
is about to point to the salsa he wants, and Bay picks it for him. And he's like, oh, he'll just take that. And Emmett is not happy. I think he walks away.
He's
He
just
takes
like,
his
I have
tamales.
to go. I think he leaves his tamales with Bay. And he's like, I gotta go. My set.
It's time for the band to perform on stage D. And the audience is pissed because, again, they thought there was free booze. So they're booing, they're throwing things.
Yeah.
But they try to win them over with their sound. I don't think it really works.
No, it doesn't. Daphne's in the crowd for like 1 second. And she's...
Well, yeah, then Bay pulls off her shirt and reveals a tank top that says, I'm with the drummer.
It's kind of cheesy.
I think it's kind of cute. I'm
Okay.
sorry. And Daphne sees it and flees the scene.
Yeah, and Daphne's wearing the like twee Taylor Swift Zooey Deschanel
Yep.
striped top, and she's
Blue and
rocking a horse girl side braid.
Yes, she is.
It's a rough look.
It's really painful.
And Wilkie clocks that she leaves.
So Catherine goes to the children's hospital where Bay and Daphne were born, and she ambushes the nurse.
Yes.
The nurse is played by Justina Mercado, who I love.
I
She was in
love her
6
too.
Feet Under, which is one of my favorite TV shows of all time.
She's also in Jane the Virgin. She's also, I think, on Desperate Housewives.
And she was also in One Day at a Time on Netflix.
Yeah, I really love her. She's a great actress.
She rocks. Love you, Justina. They're talking about the switch and her working at the hospital. And Catherine at one point is like, why didn't you say no when they asked you to work a double shift? And Britzia's like, okay, you privileged white bitch.
Yeah. She says it's really easy to judge from inside a Mercedes, huh?
Yeah, because they're sitting inside Catherine's Mercedes.
Yeah.
But she's like, no, I worked with many families, but I remember your family because John was famous.
This monologue made me emotional. Like, I
It
really
was sweet.
felt for her the way she was like, I made sure to hold the baby because my parents were fans and I wanted to tell them that I'd held the baby.
Yeah.
And when I was holding the baby, I remember I felt really jealous of her, which is like crazy, but like just thinking of how easy her life would be.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, she worries, she doesn't know for sure, but she worries that she put her back in the wrong
Yeah,
crib.
she was like, I put her in the crib. It may have been the wrong crib. I really don't know. I was overworked and overtired.
Yeah.
And that was
really-
kind of it.
I
But
really
yeah,
felt for her.
I really did.
She tells John that she went to see the nurse, and John is like, what the hell?
Without me. And then
Without
Catherine
me.
goes, well, sometimes you railroad me. And I can't think for myself sometimes. And then he apologizes and he does admit that Catherine needs to stand up for herself more often,
Yeah.
which I would love to see.
And then back at the festival,
The gig is over. Emmett is already moody from the
Yes.
tamale situation.
yes.
Some guy grabs Emmett, like at the back of his shirt, angrily. And he's yelling about how
How-
he was promised free booze
Yeah.
and he didn't get it.
Which he seems drunk enough as is, so it should be fine. But
Yeah. And Bay goes, hey, he's deaf. Leave him alone. And the guy looks horrified and then he storms off.
yeah, he backs away like
Like
he's
it's a monster.
So scared. Yeah.
Like he's contagious.
Yeah. Literally like he's contagious.
It also doesn't look good for your optics to be a deaf guy. So I
No.
think the guy was like, oh, I'm out.
Maybe that's
I'm
why.
going to get canceled if I
So-
be a deaf guy.
Thoughts on this? Because obviously Emmett gets very upset. He's like, what did you say to that guy? And she says, I said you were deaf. And he storms off. I feel like this is just him being mad about the earlier situation.
Yes,
Because-
I think so too.
If a guy is about to beat you up, wouldn't you want to play any card that you have in your arsenal so that you don't get beat up?
Do you think Emmett should have played that himself, though, instead of Bay doing it for him? Emmett would have just pointed to his ears and went, what? What, girl?
I feel like in that moment, that wouldn't have worked as de-escalation because that guy seemed drunk and belligerent.
That's true.
Like, I think he would have just gotten punched.
We all know that, though.
We'll never know.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe, alternatively, Emmett turns around, points at his ear, and before the guy can see anything, he just whacks him across the face. But I think that's not what it's about.
No,
it's
I don't.
about Bay not really understanding the rules of what the world is like as a deaf person.
Okay, wait, let's jump ahead then to them resolving this because I want to talk about it.
Okay, yeah. So Leia, after that scene, Bay goes to apologize to Emmett. And she says, this is all new to me. I'm still learning about what it takes to be a partner of a deaf person. How am I supposed to know the rules?
Yeah, especially because he says, don't use my deafness as a defense, which I think is fair. But then Bay says, but it's okay as a hook.
To get you into East West Fest.
Yeah.
Because he told them they have a deaf drummer. And he goes, that's different. And then she goes, well, how am I supposed to know that's different?
Yeah, and I think that that's fair.
I think it's so fair.
She says, how am I supposed to know the rules? And the way this fight resolves is that Emmett says,
Stick around.
That's not fair. If there are rules that you are like, I shouldn't even have to say them, but she's not picking up on them, say them.
You should say the rules instead of being like, you just need to stay and figure it out.
Maybe even write them out.
Right on the list. Like if someone goes and yells at Emmett, don't do anything. If someone asks Emmett what salsa he wants, wait a minute.
I also think some of it is male pride. And
Yes, I think
she's like, how much of
she
this
does
is
say
because
that.
I'm a girl?
Girl, and I'm here. And he goes, it's both.
Yeah. Which, like, a little bit, it's like, Emmett. Like, if you're in a relationship, you should let your partner help you not get beat up.
I think that's so fair.
But
They never talk about that specific part again. It's mainly the tamale thing. He was like, I would be annoyed too, to be fair.
Yeah, but it's just her first time.
But it's her first time. And I know that once she learns, she won't do it again.
Yeah.
Like, she seems very receptive. So, yeah.
And then
Emmett, in the middle of the arguing, grabs Daphne to interpret for him, which, ouch.
Yeah, that sucks for Bay.
That sucks.
But I thought it was a really beautiful moment.
Yeah, Emmett says, which I wholeheartedly agree with, he says, this is how I engage with the world. It's by gesturing and pointing and signing. And hearing people, their responsibility is to stop and learn how to interact with me. And it's not your job to do that, basically. And he's right. You know, like, sometimes the example I'll say is that when I go out to dinner with some hearing friends who also know sign, I request that they don't voice to the waiters. Because usually what will happen is I'm ordering from the menu, I point to where I want, and then they'll talk to A or maybe you and say, what does she want? And then you have to like voice for me or speak for me. And I usually request that if everyone can sign, that we all sign, to force the waiter or whoever to interact with us in a different way rather than voicing, which is what Emma is doing.
Yeah.
He's like, they will figure it out. They will survive. I was annoyed at this part, though, because we can't see his signing on the screen. We only see Daphne's face and her voicing. But I think that was also really important for hearing audiences to see. So I really enjoyed that little monologue. Thank you, Emmett. And they do have this sweet little heartfelt conversation where they're looking at a starry night.
Yeah, they're looking up at the stars. And he's like, isn't this so peaceful? And she's like, no, there's actually a lot of like annoying sounds going on around us. Like, it's not that peaceful.
Yeah.
And I liked the flip that he was like, oh, it's my turn to empathize with you, you poor little hearing girl.
He goes, I can't imagine a world where I couldn't tune out. That sucks for you.
Yeah.
And that is something A says to me nearly every day. I am so jealous that you can just take off your implants and tune out. And I'm like, yeah, sorry, girl.
I get migraines, so sometimes I wish I could do that with my eyes because I get ocular migraines. And I'm like, I wish I could just like take them out or
twist them off and put them on the table.
Oh god. Wish like Mr. Potato Head. I wish we could do that with all our body parts.
That'd be awesome.
It's like when I'm getting dressed. I'm like, I like my boobs, they're fine, but sometimes I'm like, this outfit would be so much better if I could just take them off.
And I talked about this, like we wish our bodies were modular in some way, like take off the hips and put them back on.
Yeah.
Leah, or take out the boobs and put them back on.
We should work on that. Let's work towards that.
Yeah.
We're going to crack that case.
But also in the scene, I don't know if you noticed this, but Bay's like, it's not really peaceful. Wilkie's in the back making fart jokes. There's a sign name for Wilkie.
Oh, I did not clock that.
It's the W and it's over here, like he's pushing back his hair.
Cute.
Go Wilkie.
Go Wilkie. And so circling back a little bit ago, Wilkie's the real hero of Daphne's day because after the set, he goes and he finds her and she's on the dock.
Pity party at the pier. That's what I wrote.
Love that.
Pity party at the pier.
Yeah, she's soaking her feet in the water and he comes up and he's like, where's Edward at? Twilight mentioned. But he's just trying to make her cheer up.
Cheer up. It's cute.
Yeah. He's kind of like, are you bummed because he's off with Bay? And she's like, it's really not about that.
It's sort of about that.
It's a little about that, but it's mostly about the other stuff.
Yeah, but she's like, there's all this shit going on with Angelo.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's because I can't talk to Emmett or I can't confide in him as much about all this family situation drama that's happening.
Yeah, because she feels like Bay took him.
Yeah. And she goes, I wish I could just take my brain off and put it to the side, modular. I wish I could just take my brain out and everything would be quiet. And then Wilkie goes, well, what if you took your hearing aids out?
Thank God Wilkie's real dumb most of the time, but he's like, those probably can't get wet.
He said, I think those are really expensive, actually.
Yeah.
Ally.
He
goes, can you take them off? And then pushes her in the water. I personally don't know if I would be thrilled about being shoved in the water when I'm sad. But the fact that he takes off his shirt and jumps in with me, it would be forgiven.
Yeah, man. That was crazy. Also, it really works on Daphne.
Oh, yeah, she's smitten.
I wanted them to make out in the lake.
They really should have.
So yeah, so she's feeling better, basically. And that's why later, I think it's easier also for her to jump in and help interpret for Emmett. So later on in the night, we're at Regina's, and she has just gotten off the phone with her sponsor, and she tries to lie to Adriana.
And Adriana's like, girl, you were on the phone for a very long time.
I think it's wrong of Adriana to immediately judge Regina for being on the phone with her sponsor. Like, it's good that she's asking for help. Like, shouldn't that be a good sign?
Totally fine to ask for help, and maybe you can have different kinds of triggers.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily need to be Angela, but
It definitely
Adriana's
is.
like, Angela's back in your life for 48 hours, and all of a sudden you're calling your sponsor.
And then to end the night at the festival, Daphne's feeling much better. She like offers Bae an olive branch. She asks how the date situation went, and Bae like kind of signs. Like, it's sweet. She's like trying to sign at the same time.
Yeah.
And is having a hard time coming up with words, but it's not because of the SimCom. It's because she genuinely is like, I don't even fucking know what to say.
Yeah, like I'm speechless.
Yeah.
It was bad.
But then she's like, did you get any of that? And Daphne's like, yeah, I actually like totally understand. And it's like, oh, right. You guys are maybe the only people that understand each other.
It was a sweet
Like,
point.
what if you were friends? Just imagine.
Imagine, you guys could be so powerful. But they come to a nice mutual agreement that everything's pretty screwy with the family.
And then we get an aerial shot. The camera retreats into the sky.
They got a drone.
And the girls separate to go into their separate tents.
But we don't know whose tent. I assume Bae is with Emmett.
Wait, I don't think so. She climbs into a much smaller tent. Also, her and Emmett have not slept together yet. So
maybe Bae brought her own tent?
I think Bae brought her own tent, but then it looks like Daphne is climbing back into Emmett's tent. What? Like, it's the same size and shape as the tent we see him sleeping in earlier. So maybe he's crashing with Toby or something, and she's sleeping in his tent?
Maybe.
But, like,
they
why
do
would-
not share that.
It would make more sense for Bae and Daphne to share a tent, and for Emmett to take Bae's little tent.
Yeah, I have no idea. I could not tell you. My thought was Bae and Emmett were going to sleep in the tent, but
Yeah.
you're right. They're not far enough in their relationship to do that. And that Daphne just maybe was going to sleep in Wilkie's tent,
Yeah.
which I think they should have done. But
I would have.
it's hot. It's nice. It's cool. You're at a festival. You got a little tent with a
Yeah.
hot boy. Go for it.
Yeah, I don't know. The tent situation really threw me off at the end. I have questions.
Yeah, they did not share where they're sleeping. I guess no, it's not important.
It's important to me. We're almost caught up to the place that I was before.
Yeah, I
stopped.
don't remember. I think I'm caught up to where I was when I tried my route.
Yeah.
And
so-
then I stopped because we were going to do this podcast.
exactly. So guys, we're going blind.
But thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys.
And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.